I want to welcome you to this trip down memory lane. This podcast of past memories. I want to welcome you to the FiveMarks podcast. And let me tell you this, on June 14th, 2022, these FiveMarks started a movement in professional wrestling in Ireland. Emmett Casey, David, Carmo, Harmony, Milkman, and the others.
The others.
They had Robbie Mack shooting. It's their 100th episode of the FiveMarks podcast with your host, Big Boots Murphy.
Boots.
Rock on, dudes.
That's one way to start the 100th episode.
It's a good way to start. It's the best way to start it.
Exactly. Boots Murphy promo. No more voice.
Give me a moment. This man was able to run the ropes and start screaming, but this intro was more intense.
Yeah.
Promos can be more difficult. I will say that. They can take a lot more out of you. But no matter what, I will be sweating.
Different reasons, though, Carmel. Different reasons.
So, like I said, today is the 100th episode of the FiveMarks podcast. We have the boys here, the lovely, lovely boys of the Marks of the Five and the such. And we're going to take a trip down memory lane, make sure that they're not getting too old and they still remember stuff. So, yeah, sorry, Marion. So we're going to have fan questions. I have a few questions. The boys themselves, they're going to pop in with some questions, hopefully. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be bickering. But what is always going to be true about this podcast is that every single person's wearing a FiveMarks t-shirt.
I just realised mine's on the other side.
Yeah.
And this was totally not happening 10 minutes ago when I didn't run upstairs in my class shirt.
Yeah. I was wearing a very sweaty t-shirt and now I've changed it to a very clean t-shirt that is going to be sweaty. So, shall we start out with some fan questions?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Yes. Grant. So, I have to read them off my phone. Wait. Logan Bryce follows you. Logan Bryce, I don't even think follows me. Martin. Bastard.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, if I mispronounce or fucking mess
I
up
do it
anything,
all the time.
I apologize. I am dyslexic and stupid, so it's not a good combo. So, this is from Rob, the GR81.
That's Mr. Gold. Fuck's sake. Don't acknowledge him!
I'm acknowledging him!
Oh!
We the
The
G's.
one true golden one.
It's like it's 6 o'clock and you're dong.
So our main man Rob asks, if the three of you were in a match, who would win and what would the winner get?
So the winner of the match will be me because I'm the only one that went training. The only one that went training, so it has to be me.
Hold on a minute. How did that training go?
Hi, Emmett. How did your training
No.
go? How did your training go, Emmett? How many times have you been?
My knees are fine. Was it the knee or the ankle?
Mine aren't.
Now, in fairness, that is why whenever we have a Hall of Fame, we're the first inductee. In fairness to you know, like, you know what I mean. But I do think it.
Around here.
Every time Emmett says about you going to the Hall of Fame, I'll just put like a small clip of fucking Higher from Creed.
Push it one step further. what would the stipulation be? Like, is there
Winner
loser?
gets 100% fucking control of the marks in terms of they own the 5 marks.
Yeah, I think it'd have to be like a ladder match with like a contract
Mm.
up above or something like that with like 100% ownership of the 5 marks.
We used to always joke about this like super early on. I don't know if we ever did it in the air, on the air. Sorry, ladder matches
just
on
as we're
the-
climbing the ladder.
Do you know what'd be a great idea? Wait. I can't remember who it was, but two of us used to always joke about like a custody of Kevin ladder match at one point or another.
That was you anyway. That was 100%.
Yeah.
It was you. It was always. That was probably something we were talking about in work or some shit because we're bored.
I would hope. Here's the stipulation I would suggest, right? I would suggest that regardless what the match is for or whatever like this, if the three of us were to have any match, it should be an exploding exploding barbed wire death match purely for it can't go great like the Japanese versions from the like 90s and stuff like that. We would have to have a terrible ending like in AEW, but instead of like bad pyro, just have Martin's family with fire extinguishers at the side, just firing them into the rings and all against you.
It's Rob with like a sparkler, and then all of
And somehow the fire extinguishers hurt us more than the actual match itself. Like
it will
just do a
burn, it
terrible-
will like freeze you and burn you.
That Boots,
They're hardcore.
well, that Boots on commentary the whole time doing his best JR. Just, by God Almighty, they're being frozen to death.
By God, Martin is hitting him with 115 chops. God damn, by golly.
Honest to God, the idea of the three of us running around just trying to orchestrate a match would be horrendous.
Yeah, no.
We'll leave that to the professionals now.
No.
All three of us would end up being badly hurt by our own accord. Like we'd fall between the ropes or something trying to run them. Like we'd run into a turnbuckle, it would just pop out of place. Someone to get a rope in the eye. Like it just everything that would go wrong
It'll be fucking Brothers of Destruction versus DX all over again. Just everything goes wrong.
Absolutely, it'd be worse than that even. Do you know what we could do? We could do like a WrestleMania 2000, where we could do like if there's ever a triple threat match, we could do like a mark in each corner. That could work.
I'd call it dibs on Boots.
Wow.
We could do a spin-off question. So Martin is called for Boots. Carmo, who would you get from an Irish wrestling capacity to be your stand-in for that match?
Jay.
I thought you were going to say Galacini.
No. Jay. I think Jay. Jay or Steve Savage, I think.
You can't have Steve. That's just like you're going to kill the guys.
He's scary.
You're going to kill
He
the
is
guys.
scary. He is scary.
Emish, come on.
So Boots is
My
champions. My man. Do you know something? I would pick my man because I don't think any of the lads go near her. Do you know what I mean? It's a safe bet. The two lads would fight away. A man would just roll up one of them when no one's looking, and then done. Despite having never wrestled a match in her life.
Who would you pick
No,
though?
in a serious capacity, do you know who I'd pick? I would pick Paddy Morrow.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, great
I
choice.
would-
Boots gets his match to get his dream
Yeah.
match.
Yeah.
Yeah, great shout.
Right.
Very good shout.
So we're going to move on to the next question. It's from Layla_O. In all seriousness, there was a first.
Yeah,
part
she called me a
of the
sad
question.
little milkman to fucking
Yeah.
fuck you, Emmett.
Are you a
Yeah,
milkman?
sad little-
No, let's Emmett, right? Let's talk about this. Where the fuck did this come from?
Okay, I've never gotten to tell this on the air to the best of my knowledge, but I think it's a fairly good story. So Martin and I, as many as listeners know, worked together for a long period of time. It's how we met and everything like this. It's how
It's how I met
Yeah,
my
he's-
Martin.
No, but we were working together one day, and what I can only describe as the whitest thing I've ever experienced, and I mean that, like I've seen some fairly white things in my life now, but this was the whitest of the white. We were standing in a corner and work just fixing stuff. We worked in retail at the time, and Martin literally lets out this fucking wail of a gasp. Like,
Let's
he was like,
go!
Oh no, there was no words. He just like something really bad was after happening, and a co-worker of ours and I turned around and were like, Jesus, what's wrong? Like, do you know what I mean? He just goes, my Qui-Gon Jinn Darth Maul Funko
No,
Pop
it was
diorama
the
has arrived."
Qui-Gon Jinn. So I got a notification. I fucking had waited. I've got a 3 set of the scene from episode 1 of Star Wars of Darth Maul Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon. And they all connect together. And for months, I waited for my Qui-Gon Jinn one to arrive to complete the fucking set. So I got the email in work. I was like, let's go! My fucking Qui-Gon Jinn pop's about to fucking arrive. Emmett turns around to me and goes, that is the whitest white boy thing I have ever heard anyone ever say.
It was like, I swear to God, like the reaction was like someone who was after getting a scratch card and somehow winning $1 million. Like, this is like, I never, as long as I forget it, because our co-worker who was there was genuinely pissed over it. We thought something really bad was after happening, but no, Martin was there, a fully grown man losing his life over a Funko Pop diorama. And just, I can't remember when specifically it started. It was sometime around the 6-month mark with the podcast, whatever like that. And I was just there. We were three of us were joking one day about like if we were to become wrestlers, what our gimmicks would be and everything like this. And I was just saying that Martin could just be the whitest human being of all time. That
Come
was just
out,
in
the sun shines,
lollipops and rainbow. And it stuck for months inside work. We were doing this like, and I just one day said it on the podcast, and thankfully listeners have like
Fucking
gotten it to
stop.
stick. There was
don't know
nearly
what-
a Milky t-shirt.
Oh, I'd buy it.
Very nearly, very nearly. But we still have X amount of these left to sell. So buy these.
Buy the
these,
merch.
people.
On a big cartel. Go buy it now with stickers.
Merch. Well, I don't know why, but my initial thought of Martin being the Milkman is just a lift from the Milkman and Father Ted, with all the rings and the big beard and come to have sex with Mrs. Doyle.
I wish it was that now. I swear to God. I would pay, like, if there's a Hard Knock show this October close to Halloween, I am making this known on the air now. I will make a generous charity donation if Martin dresses up as Pat Mustard for an October Hard Knock show. Guest out, silk shirt.
Maybe the anniversary show, because that's around that's Halloween time and everyone dresses up for it.
Yes, 100%.
At least the Hard
Right.
Knocks, I'm not gonna walk in and be the only fucking person.
But you know, it's even perfect. Like, you could walk around with the bottles of milk and it would just be absolutely perfect. Like,
And then you don't have to you don't have to hurt your hands like clapping. You can just like shake the bottles. So Layla's second question is I keep going to say Layla, but it's not whatever. Sorry. In all seriousness, though, you lads are class. Keep doing the podcast, or I'll cry. That's not a question. But why are you threatening this child to make her cry? What's up with that?
Martin,
I didn't do it. I'm not threatening anyone. What the fuck?
But she's obviously under the impression that you guys are going to stop doing the podcast. Like that's a bit.
I think that's because we
No,
talk
so-
about it so often.
There was so because
You're
like
trying to do that.
because she texts my sister all the time. There was a few months ago I was supposed to get a job where I was going to be very busy, and the podcast was going to become second nature. So I said I'm going to have to take a step back from episodes and do an Emmett. For some reason, she's not the only one. People thought I was leaving the podcast, like I was done, gone. That's it, Martin, gone, bye. Yeah. Unfortunately, the job fell through, and Carmo's stuck with me still.
Right.
pulling an Amish.
Pulling an Emmett. that means different things to different people.
Oh.
So this comes from the nerdy scholar _ have any of you tried training as wrestlers before? If not, would you consider it? So we've kind of already gone into this, but Carol, kind of expand on like your experience stepping into the ring.
So I went for 3 training sessions, give or take. And it was the scariest thing I ever did. Only for I went with Monty, as people now know Monty from Hard Knocks. And I remember getting down there. And it's one of those situations where, like, we've all been around the ring, being at a show or so on and so forth. We've all been around, but it's something different when you're actually getting into a ring. And you're kind of there, and they're kind of like, right, take a bump. You're like, what? Just bump. Okay, sure. And then you're landing on your back, and you're like, oh, that really hurt. But you have to kind of show a brave face because there's people around you. So they're like, okay, I'm straight back up. We're good. I'm fine. One of the best things I ever did. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep it up. just because I have previous injuries and stuff like that that just won't allow me to do it. But one of the best things I ever did, and I think because of the podcast, it kind of led me to do it a little bit more. And I think it got me to know a couple of the hard knocks lads a bit more as well, which was great. Something I definitely recommend to anybody who's thinking of doing it. Don't go in with the aspirations. Like I went down to a recent hard knocks beginners class, and there was a couple of young guys there who you could tell they were kind of like, okay, I want to get this now. I want to get this really quick. I want to be like a Cody Rhodes or John Cena. I want to be them by tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Don't go in with those kind of aspirations. Just take it day by day. But if you're ever thinking about doing it, just do it. Just do it.
For yourself, what was the most surprising thing about the training? Was it the bumps or was it hitting the ropes? What kind of you didn't think would hurt or you didn't think would be as hard, but once you stepped in, you kind of realized, oh, this is much different than I thought.
Hitting the ropes was actually, I won't say it was a little easier than what I thought, because there's still a lot of footwork involved in hitting the ropes. And I think my first training session where we hit the ropes was with Elja. And obviously Elja is pretty big on footwork. So trying to figure out, okay, you can only kind of like run across the ring in like two steps, hit the ropes and kind of get back. That was pretty tricky, but I thought hitting the actual ropes, what I thought was a lot easier in the body than I expected. Another thing that kind of surprised me was how nice everyone was. Everyone was so welcome. Like one of the things that I majorly struggled with was the rolls. It's just something that I couldn't kind of get. It's just something in my head where I just couldn't do it. And the lads were just so nice and gentle. They were like, try it like this, even go like this, see how we get on. If you roll sideways, it's fine. At least you try and do it, that kind of way. Which was one of the really, really nice things. So rolls, I think, was probably one of the tougher ones. Hitting the ropes was probably a little bit easier than I thought.
Yeah, that's something that we get a lot of praise on in the Irish wrestling scene, is genuinely how uplifting we try to be. So if you're in the Hard Knocks school, or if you're in the School of Irish Wrestling or Five Factory, if you're struggling with something, it's not something to be ashamed of. So and as well, like Carmo said, it's something that he's very proud of doing, is stepping into the ring. And that's like the first thing you need to do, is to it's probably the hardest thing you can do, is to build up that confidence to step in. But if you are thinking about training, once you've built up that confidence and to step in, you already have our respect, and you already, like, because we were in the exact same position you are. So if anybody who's watching or listening is thinking about getting into wrestling, just know, no matter what school you go to here in Ireland, once you've stepped through that door, you already have the respect of us to do that. So no matter what background you're coming from, just know that, like, when you step into Irish wrestling, you're surrounded by some really good people. So fair fucks to you, Karma.
And just know as well, like day one, they actually have a boots chopping class. So
yep,
get ready for that. Karma was sick that day.
Yeah.
No.
Would you
Imagine
ever?
that, though, like if you were suffering from nerves and you're just walking through that door like with such trepidation, and the first thing you see is just a hand.
Yeah. Right. So are we going to learn how to take a bump? No, you're going to learn something today.
It's like that ad with Sting and the child just getting thrown across like tables.
Oh, God.
Fucking like turn into, is it fucking Scorpion? Just like, get over here.
I don't know what you just talked about, but like Emmett Martin, would you ever think about going training?
I can tell you one, and I've never said this in the air, and I'll try and find the screenshots of it. But I'm looking
You
at
have
what
said
year
this
it
on
is.
the air.
I have said this there. I was pestering whoever owns Irish Strip Wrestling when I was like in first or second year of school about training. I have emails of it. I was like this overexcited, like 12 to 13-year-olds, and I was adamant about it. As everyone knows, because of like obviously I got into metal and everything like that, that kind of go on for a while. But that was actually my main thing as a teenager that I wanted to do. I know it could be very different. It mightn't be here right now doing this podcast had things actually gone that way and everything like this. But I kind of two minds, because like I would love to do something in ring at some capacity and everything like this. But if I was to do anything, I would love to be a comedy wrestler, man. I swear to God, because like since getting into like Irish wrestling and everything like this, like I loved absolutely every single bit of it, everything like this. But there is not a single person on this island who has like captivated my attention and like gotten me like actually like really, really behind him as much as like Be Cool. And I just, honest to God, like when I'm showing mates that like haven't watched wrestling since they were in school or have never seen anything to do with Irish wrestling, I literally look for stuff involving Barry to show them because it's like that's the great thing about like Be Cool and everything like this is that's like that is literally for everyone. Do you know what I mean? You could walk in having never seen a bit of pro wrestling in your life, and it's just you get it. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's if I was to ever do anything, it'd be something like that because I am not athletic at all. Like, if I was to run the ropes, you think Carmel's injury is bad? I'd somehow end up in a body cast. Like, do you know what I mean? So my whole thing is if I could make people laugh and everything like that, I'd be absolutely content. But we'll have to wait and see on that front.
Be Cool
Yeah.
is for everybody.
Well, he is. He
He
bloody well is. Like he's incredible, and like to your points, Emmett. Like if I'm showing anybody any sort of wrestling, it is Be Cool. Like it's always Be Cool. But man, I also I didn't email them, but I remember like fucking trying to figure out how to get into Irish Whip wrestling as well when I was younger, and then I somehow like was on their website, but on their website they never announced that they were defunct. So I was like, and then I later found out I was like, oh, this does not exist anymore. So
That's why they're not emailing me back.
God damn it, God damn it. Right. So our next question here comes from Daniel Dolan 123, and he says, "Why is Martin so bad at 2K?"
3-0. I kicked your ass 3-0. Like, get on my fucking level, shut your fucking mouth, and accept I beat you 3-0. Next question.
Okay.
Right.
Very quick.
This comes from Connor Webb 14. What can RCW do to get even better than it is now? Book Big Boots Murphy. Thank you very much. Next question.
Yes.
Next question.
What a plug! Yeah!
No. What can RCW do, in your opinion, to get better?
For me, I don't know because whereas RCW was kind of in a similar situation to Hard Knocks, but it isn't because RCW has been around for give or take about a year and a half, give or take.
Yeah.
Am I right in that?
You are. About a year. No, year and a half. You're correct.
But it has the history of Phoenix, even though Phoenix and RCW are two different things. It has that history. So I think it's in a similar situation to Hard Knocks in it's still growing. It's still trying to get that audience. And it's trying to, like, Cork is a fairly foundational audience anyway. People who go to an RCW show that maybe not into wrestling, they're just into, like, Cork wrestling, if that makes sense. So I think it's trying to find... I think one of the biggest things for, like, promotions outside of Dublin is trying to draw in that Dublin crowd. Do you know that kind of way? Hard Knocks have started to do it, RCW have started to do it, but I think it's just making that next move to bring the rest of them down. What it is, I don't know, but I think that's the next move.
So I'm not just gonna like talk about RCW. I'm gonna put, because these are shows I go to, RCW and Hard Knocks. Stories. For me, it's stories. The one thing that RCW kept bringing me back for, during the the end of last year, was Raiden and Raven. The story in that was absolutely amazing. I loved the matches, everything. I've said this on here, and I've said this so many times. The one thing I think is missing with Hard Knocks is fucking stories and continuing things. Because, like, there have been so many times that a story is right there, you know, in the palm of their hands. I've said many times, CBL Raven Creed was right there, and nothing happened. I've said many more when Robbie Mack was on, but I can't remember him. That's my biggest thing, because, like, when I go to something like an OTT, there's fucking stories there. The story of the draw right now, the story of Barry, and what's going on with Trent Seven, the OTT world title, you know? That's what draws me in. For me, wrestling, I love, like, the wrestling part of it is a bonus. I love stories, I love promos, and I love characters. That's what draws me to wrestling. The actual fight, like wrestling and all that shit, is an extra. So bring that shit in, bring more of it in. Don't just have, here's one story to bring back them people and the rest is going to be thrown together. Make 3 or 4 stories, keep them going, have your 3 matches for the crowd, and that to me, that's perfect. Emmett's never been to.
Emmett. Oh, you've never been?
No, I've never been, but I haven't watched them on demand. But I will say, just from like watching conversation stuff on like the Irish wrestling forums and everything like that, I think the one that I've heard the most from people who've attended RCW shows is that they're kind of I won't say demand, but a want for a venue change. There seems to be issues with like accessibility, seeing the ring from certain points of the venue and everything like this. I've only ever watched them back through the YouTube shows and everything like this, mainly because of my old job and everything like that as well. From like, I have to fully agree with Martin as well. From watching the shows back and everything, in ring wise, it's been absolutely fantastic. Like, I've really enjoyed watching the shows back. Possibly like just maybe invest a little bit more into like camera quality and stuff like that, because it can, with the red flood and lighting and stuff like that, it can be kind of hard to watch on the cameras that they use and stuff to film the shows. But yeah, just from hearing from people who've gone to the shows and everything, that it seems possibly a venue change maybe in order. But again, in Cork, where do you go? Like, do you know what I mean? Can't really use Cypress Avenue. It's not really the size for a wrestling show. Like, do you know what I mean? It'd actually be smaller than Dolan's. So I'm not from Cork. I've only ever gone to Cork for metal gigs and everything like this. So venue wise, I don't know where they would go and everything like that. But that could be due in due course as well. Do you know what I mean?
I find, and this isn't directed at RCW at all, it's actually directed at Irish wrestling, is the lack of actual venues. I know it might sound a bit weird, and I might disagree with this like after I say it, but like GA halls, I think, are very good for wrestling shows. A, because you can fit more people into it. B, you have more creative like outlet for the actual staging and such like that. But what holds it back is the fact that you won't, 9 times out of 10, a GA hall's not going to have a bar in it. So like for RCW, I've heard from a few people that there's just not many venues in Cork, and then if you're going to go to a GA hall, you're losing out on having a bar, which is very vital for our scene. If it's in England, like, they can do GA halls all they want, you know. But even with OTT, we did Finglas and Sheriff Street. I believe Sheriff Street had a bar, but like Finglas definitely has a bar, and that's just a random GA hall, you know. But we would not be able to run shows like that if there wasn't a bar, because it's such an integrated part of Irish wrestling is drinking, which it is great for fans. Like, I don't want to like come across like, boo, you're drinking and what you're, because you like to drink.
I'm straight edge and I'm better than you.
Yeah, I don't want to come across like I would say like that, but it is a thing. Like, I've seen it happen where people just don't go to shows because there's not a bar and they can't drink and watch the wrestling. And but to your points, like, more stories, I think, could allow us to run venues that aren't, you know, don't have bars in it. But yeah, that's what I'd say is probably limiting RCW, is the lack of venues, and not only that, the lack of venues with a pub in it, with a bar.
I'd imagine
cost as well, though. Even cost as well in modern days is just so ridiculous. Like,
yeah, it's horrible.
That's what I was just going to say too. Is like, I'd imagine when you're running like a pro wrestling event in any venue, like, it's the same for like music pros, that there's an insurance cost for running the event. So I'd imagine like there could be alternatives to where they're working or where they're using it at the moment. Sorry, but like the venue might be like, right, we're going to fit 250 people inside here at max capacity, but you're going to have lads jump from point A to point B. It's like, you're not doing us, you're not doing it here. I'd imagine it's a huge part of it as well. Like, you know what I mean? But it's not a very envious situation for RCW to be in. But
no, I'm surprised. Like, and I'm glad it's the case. But they've had 3 or 4 hardcore matches in Hard Knocks, in such a small venue. I was surprised. Like, there's not been anybody like filing a complaint or the venue itself not complaining as well. Like it's actually quite shocking, thankfully. But yeah, I do feel bad for RCW not having that venue, because at least Dolan's is like that venue for that promotion. We in OTT have like the National Stadium, the complex, like you have the venues in Dublin, but even then it's a struggle in Dublin. So right, we have our next question from, I don't know, BOC Stormbreak, and the rest of the name is whatever. Who has been your favorite person to interview?
Don't forget the eyes. You gotta.
Now Carmel's starting to get sweaty.
Two of the most funnest interviews I've ever done would have been the ones down in Hard Knocks at Christmas. One was with yourself, Boots, and the other was with the Hard Knocks group.
Yeah.
They were the most fun I've ever had doing interviews.
My favorite one, hands down, is probably the first. It's probably the first one we did with Sam. I don't know what it was about that one, but it was so enjoyable. Time flew and everything. I keep saying it. The J one. The J. It's literally like we just went to a fucking bar, sat down, and just had a chat. Which is how, like Carmel said there as well. The one we did with yourself at Hard Knocks was just so fucking entertaining.
Bear the cold.
Cold.
And the numerous technical faults.
Oh my
haven't.
Blame Martin's sister for that one.
And then blame me for losing the footage. Thank God for Carmel's phone.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell because I never told Boots. So after we got home, like the next day, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make use of them shitty SD cards that didn't work. I'm gonna take, because they came with the little small fucking thing. I was like, I'll just take that out and I have an SD card for my phone. Happy days. The one I took out was the one we used to record with, and I formatted it to my phone.
Lovely.
And lost everything. Well, no, to be fair, everything. I lost half an hour of footage. The rest of it I already had on the computer. Lost half an hour footage, and I was like, Carmel, have you still got the footage on your phone? Yeah, perfect. Great, because I fucking lost the footage. Luckily, we always have a backup with Carmel's phone. I have a backup camera now, so
that's good.
That'll be fucking going to play for stuff like that.
It's for a podcast, the main thing is the audio. You know, if you have the audio, you're grand. You can put up like still images of myself shirtless if push comes to shove.
On a beach in a bikini.
Yeah, always in a bikini. I'm just missing the top half most of the time.
God, what would be another? Because like every interview we've done has been. Do you know what one? Like really, there's one I was sat there and I was like, I cannot believe I'm talking to this person, and that was Leo Rush.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Was sat there, and the whole time I'm going, I saw you in Manchester in 2018, and now I'm sat chatting to you. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, one that I'd always go back to, just because I thought it was very kind of fluid. There was great conversation. You know, it just kind of kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Was LJ as well. I thought the LJ interview was amazing.
Emmett had so many good points in that question. He talked for
what
so
have you
long.
done?
I just want to say for the record that we did have a time constraint to that. Very good.
He got roasted by LJ at the end.
I sent that man to Japan, so I did.
To be fair, in that whole interview, I didn't let him talk. I didn't give him a chance to talk.
To be fair, that was yours.
Have the time.
It was Carmel's. Like Carmel was the biggest fucking LJ mark. He still is.
I have his gear above me. Like
he's definitely going to throw that on there when the interview is done.
No, never.
And I'll say as well, this is like again, every interview was so much fun, but one I enjoyed more for the meaning behind it was the second time we had Bullet on. And he just literally talked about literally all about his struggles, and I was like,
that stint we had during Mental Health Month was some of the best stuff I think we've done
Yeah.
in the 100 episodes that we've been here.
The fact that Joe Bray come on talking about mental health and his struggles was just.
What about yourself, Emmett?
I was just about to add on to that was the interview with Sam we did that month is probably my favorite one that we've done so far. But one that I don't think a lot of people mention, and I think why it doesn't get mentioned is because it was during the initial string of interviews. So this was a straight run to Scrapper last spring. When Angus was on the podcast, I listened to that on the commute home, and not being involved in that interview, but just straight listening to it, I thought that was so interesting. Just given his background, given how he got involved in Irish pro wrestling and everything like that. Like anytime, again, I'm a big advocate for people who don't know anything about wrestling getting into wrestling because I think even as a hobby, just going to shows, I think it's the best crack ever. If anyone asks about an interview we've had in the podcast, the five I always say is that one, the Jay one, the Sammy one, the first one with U-Boots, and the first one with the Sam. Those are the five I always recommend to people. And every time someone listens to even just one or two of those five, they usually come back and subscribe to the podcast immediately. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's just when people have an interesting story to tell, regardless of what their background is, it always translates. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think Angus's background, especially given that it's pro wrestling, is so interesting. Like, do you know what I mean? I also got a great kick a few weeks ago being on, like, just on my computer doing bits and pieces or whatever. I think it was on YouTube. And the fact that he was narrating, like, one of the advertisements for, like, the referendum that was happening at the time, I was there and I was trying to think, I was like, where do I recognize his voice? And I was like, oh, he's not screaming in the middle of the ring at the start of an OTT show. That's why I struggled to recognize his voice for a second there. But yeah, I thought those are the five always that I recommend people.
I personally, I'm not going to claim that I've listened to every fucking podcast you guys have done, but the one that has like stuck with me, or the two that have stuck with me since listening to them, was that the second Matthew Smith interview, and then the one with Joe and Andrea. Those two, like, I remember the Matthew one I listened to on the bus home just before therapy. So I was like, oh, this is getting me right riled up for some therapy right now. And then I listened to the Joe one while I was cleaning my room, and yeah, I was just, like you guys said, like, it was mad just having Joe coming on and talking about his struggles, especially the story he told about Test and signing into the hotel, or that stuck with me. But from my two times being on the podcast, this has been my third. My favorite podcast that I've done with you guys is this one. Yay! They keep it moving. He's hardcore.
If people want to have some fun, let's go. If you haven't done it, go listen to the first Boots one and then listen to the second. The change difference is just unbelievable, because obviously we grew in terms of like presenting and shit, and then your confidence grew even more.
No, it's mad.
It also went twice. Just like what? When, like, instead of an hour, it went like nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, sorry, that happens to me. I ramble. I did that Fightful interview, and it was supposed to be 15 minutes, and turned into 40 something. Whoops.
I want to give an honorable mention to interviews as well, since you brought up Joe Bray talking about Test. Justy was a really fun one. Talk about 20 years of Irish wrestling and stuff like that. It was really good.
Yeah. So we'll go on to the next question from. I don't want to say. Again, this is me just being stupid. Is it Layla? There's no A, so I'm.
It is.
I don't want to say Lay.
It is.
It is Layla.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Compose.
She asks, what made you decide to start a podcast?
This motherfucker down here.
Go in depth on how it was started. What were the first topics of the?
Well, to be fair, Carmo, you start and then it can transition.
Where's Emma based from me?
Literally below you.
Below me, right here. Okay.
It's diagonally to my side wall.
On the actual.
Can you hear me?
VOD. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. So Emmett was doing From the Depths at the time, right? And he was starting to get a few guests on. not necessarily like let's say artists, but like friends and stuff like that to do kind of like topic episodes and stuff like that. So I was down. I think it was actually my own party down in Limerick. A few friends threw like a very small party for me down in Limerick, and we ended up having a few drinks. And so I got Chicken, former member of the podcast, to send Emmett a message to say, "Well, how's it going? Do you know, come here. If you ever want to do like a wrestling episode of From the Depths," I was like, "Let me know and we'll do it." So on and so forth. And Emmett kind of messaged back and he was like, "Yeah, cool. Let me sort it out." And
Who the
I'll
fuck
get
is
back to
this
him
guy
later.
texting me about my podcast?
I'm
Me
here
and
at the
Emmett have known
mountain
each other
top.
for years at that point. Years.
We've known each other a very long time. I don't think people get that. Like, me and Martin only met for the first time 6 months prior to the idea.
I've
Really
known this fucker
taking
for
shape.
3 years now.
Carmo and I
I've
have known
known him
each other.
for 20 odd.
Yeah. No one gets that. No one ever gets it. I swear to God. They always think because of the shit I give Martin that I've known Martin lots.
Yeah. But go on,
Well,
Sorry,
Ellis,
Gary.
carry
go
on.
on. That's the story anyway from my point.
And then we go to
and
Emmett.
said, "What about doing a wrestling episode of From the Depths?"
And basically, fast forward maybe, I want to say it's June 2000.
No, it was February.
No, this is before the text. So this would have been, so it was February 2022 is when I sent the text. So I'm going to say it was June or July 2021 because it was during the pandemic, but the restrictions had eased. So like you couldn't go to a pub and like walk around, but you could call to people's houses. So you could have like, like 5 or so in a house or whatever. And I can't remember how about or why this came to. I do. Keen was in the band at the time. The lads had rehearsed. They were having a few beers back in the house or whatever. So we were sitting out the back. Sitting out the back having a few beers. X amount of them went home. So it was just caramel, chicken, and like 2 other mates of ours. We're inside in the kitchen, and this is, I've definitely told this in the air before, but I get the fear every time I tell the story. So Carmo was basically saying, he was like, "Do you remember when I was talking about doing like that episode of like From the Depths or whatever like this?" We talked about that a little bit more and everything like this. And basically we got drunk and whatever like this, and Carmo was showing off like his replica belts and everything else. Keen somehow ended up in like a 1997 Kane costume. There's so many photos of it. It is ridiculous. Like, I'm there holding like the big gold, like big gold on one side. It's not the one in front of the Christmas tree 'cause it's midsummer. I think I was holding like the smoking skull as well. We were being so stupid. We were playing like entrance music off of Spotify, and like one would walk into the kitchen. We're having like arm wrestling like competitions for the belts. But like someone would have a bacon tray and like whack someone on the back of the head for like an interference. It was really, really stupid, but like we had good laugh and everything like this. And then honestly, like 6 months passes. And I was at home and I contracted COVID. And I was raging because I was supposed to be going up to Dublin for something music related I was supposed to be going up for. I couldn't go. I found out the day I was supposed to commute that I had COVID. So I couldn't go to work, had to stay at home, had to isolate. This is very, very early February 2022. And for the first time in ages, I stuck on wrestling. Now I'd still every week I'd watch Wrestling Talk every day. I followed Dirt Sheets and everything this because I had followed so many pages on like Facebook and stuff from when I was in my like early to mid teens and stuff. And I'd been away from wrestling for about, I gotta say, an educated guess, about 8 years and stuff. But I was still in the loop. And like I'd met Martin in like August of 2021 because when we started working together. So maybe about 90 days after that, like party instant with belts and everything. And we were talking about wrestling every day and everything like this. And when I had COVID, I was like, because I was isolating, basically in the room on the recording right now, I couldn't talk to anyone outside of like social media. Obviously, couldn't go to the shop, couldn't do this or whatever. And I remember like I ordered in like from like Deliveroo, like a few things of beer or whatever like this. And I sat down, and again for the first time in ages, I sat down and watched wrestling. And I watched, I can't remember what it was specifically, but it was definitely an NWA TNA pay-per-view because it was like whatever one that America's Most Wanted. And that really famous tightrope, like Hurricane Rana from like Elix Skipper.
He was watching wrestling.
I was watching wrestling. Sorry, I get in there. But I'd had a few beers and everything like this, and watched his pay-per-view. I was just like, I just thought, and I'd been thinking about it for a while, but I was just like, oh my God, I was like, Karma for like the entirety of my life is the biggest wrestling nerd I know outside of like cousins of mine and everything this. And I said, Martin, every day we're working together to talk about wrestling and everything this. And I was like, these are 2 of the biggest wrestling nerds in Clare, and they've never ever met. They didn't know each other existed or anything like this. So I literally made a group chat And before I made the group chat,
You texted
something
me.
very similar. I texted both of you individually, but I made the logo before I texted you because I was like, I want to have something to show to them. So I made the logo on Canva. It's a little bit different to this one here. And it was initially the tree marks. And basically that was the idea. And the two lads were up for everything like this. And we sat in it for months. For the longest time.
Literally.
Yeah. We sat in it for a good, I'm not going to say 6 months, but maybe at least 90 days. Because I want to say it was like late April, early May of 2022 that we seriously sat down and put our heads together. And how it
But
became
even in that time, I started getting into Irish wrestling. Like I had gone to my
Mm.
first Mania, I'd gone to a couple of shows in Limerick, which kind of brought that element of it into it as well.
I think had you not done that, the podcast wouldn't have gotten to where it is. It wouldn't have gotten to episode 100 because the original format and stuff. Like we met for dinner one day after work, the three of us, and our friend Kevin, who anyone who's listened to the earlier episodes, you would know of Kevin and stuff. And Kevin came for the meal with us, like so we had a bit of food. Like we didn't go get like drinking or anything, this, but we had one or two beers. And if anyone remembers like the joke about like Kevin reviewing all like the direct films and everything like that came out through that conversation and everything is. And kind of we were sitting there and we kind of thought, right, Keane had been to a show, Carmo had been to the show obviously as well. We all had different aspects and we had different levels of fandom. So the brain fart was like, here, rather than the 3 marks, 5 marks, you know, you've two lads who are absolutely obsessed with wrestling, slowly starting to get into Irish wrestling. You've got two that haven't watched in forever, fucking talk away about wrestling. And then Chicken, having never, ever been to a wrestling show, watch wrestling outside that first show I went to, I was like, it's a perfect dynamic. And the whole thing we were kind of thinking was just like, make a show that wrestling fans could listen to, as well as that make a show that people who've never, ever watched or seen wrestling could like dig their teeth into and enjoy. And that's, if you go back to those earlier episodes, that's why they're topic based. It's why it's very much like we did an episode about terminology and stuff like that. So we were like in the hopes that people would listen numerically and then they'd have an understanding of wrestling and stuff. And I know that format probably in hindsight now, because the show has kind of grown leaps and bounds. If you do go back and listen numerically, you've never watched wrestling before, as much as they are kind of full of like shit posts and stuff like that. Once we get to the interviews later on, when terminology does come up, at least it makes it kind of, understandable for people who've never kind of gotten into wrestling. Do you know what I mean? There's something I'm definitely missing in
Don't think
that.
so,
No, that's it.
Because I'm trying
Unless
to
you
figure
were
out.
talking about fucking seahorses and fucking fizzy,
No,
I was
fizzy
literally
fizzy
just going to
fucking
go.
potatoes that we did episodes on. Like, oh my god.
I was going to go to like, how did we get from like sea monkeys and seahorses, mate, to like having like Joe Cabray on the podcast and having like
That
boots
was
and
me.
having like.
I just want to point
It
out
was.
as well,
It was you.
the seahorse. Like, I don't recommend everyone ever go back. I never tell what the episode is. Emmett fucked off to go get a drink or something, and Kevin, for some reason, decided I'm going to look up the mating sequence of seahorses and went into great detail and told us. Now, at this time, I wasn't editing the podcast. Emmett was. And he didn't take it out.
I just thought that, well, the amount of people have come up to us about it since it's FiveMarks lore. If you know what episode it is, fantastic. If you don't, you'd have to go back and dig for it. Like, but
The moral of the story is we had to let Kevin go.
Sea monkeys reproduce sexually.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
Test themselves to a female and remain connected for a span of days, 2 weeks. The female develops an egg sac in her abdomen and at the base of her tail once the male detaches.
Oh no, Kevin took over Boots.
If you say that 3 times in the mirror, Kevin will appear as well.
Seahorses.
But no,
if we can get like Kevin in the video, we should just insert it here now somewhere. If we can.
I'll insert what's a funny one to go back and look at was, and I guarantee you no one's ever seen this. Emmett, for Kevin's birthday, got a cameo of the Great Khali.
Yeah.
We played it on an episode.
We played an episode. That's how it was on an episode that he found out about this cameo. Was we showed him on the episode. One, Khali's attempt at one saying happy birthday and 2 repeating whatever the fuck Emmett put down is hilarious. It wasn't hello Kevin, it was hello Karen. It is me, Great Khali. It was just stupid as hell.
we, we wanted to make that a tradition, but fucking everyone else costs so much. Teddy Long used to be on Cameo for like 40 quid. Where did he go? Do you know what I mean?
But yeah,
I just
like
need to do it with Irish wrestlers.
that's a
now.
funny one to go back and look at.
Yeah.
But that we'll move on to the next question.
Right, so this comes from Claire Flood.
Yuck, Claire.
There's a lot of these about to come from her.
Yeah, this is you got the wrong person to read.
I think all four of us are dyslexic. Is there anyone here not dyslexic?
The four
We're not.
dyslexics.
That's
This is
the
just
new
out
name.
of tune for some reason.
100 episodes. Ever think you guys would get here? Are you looking towards 200/500, or do you think you'll be moving on by then?
This is it. This is the last episode. We're done.
Thank
I've
God.
finished. I'm
I think we
sick of
joked
it.
about that
No, I'm
before.
joking.
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably with the Kevin fucking. I didn't think we'd make 100 episodes. I didn't think we'd go over like 6 months. Honest to God.
Same.
Because like we had like the news, it was like just a typical wrestling podcast. We had a fucking some bit of a following. Like I'll never forget. This is before we went to any Irish wrestling. I was working, no problem. Someone comes up, I serve him and stuff. He goes,
Yeah.
"Do you do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's the FiveMarks podcast." Yeah, I listen to it at work. Like great fucking thing. And I was just like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, someone listens to this absolute shit fucking random ass fucking podcast. Now it's like fucking ever since we like found Irish wrestling, fell in love with it, and I get to fucking chat to
You're
you
welcome.
guys. Oh, that's another story as well. As Carmo, like how long he tried to get us to go to a show.
So,
Yeah.
No, I didn't think we'd get to fucking 100 episodes. What we're gonna do for 200, 500, I don't fucking know.
200 episodes, you take 200 chops each.
From you.
No, from everybody.
I
From
know.
Maxer.
Oh, fuck. Gee,
Here's a true story. I think I said this once ever on the podcast. When the initial idea of the podcast came about and we started meeting about it and everything like that, I didn't want to do it. I was actually purely kind of against it. The only reason I did it is because I was like, it'll go for like 3 or 4 weeks and then we'll stop. It'll be kind of cool. Have something there to kind of listen back to, a bit of fun. And yeah, we're 100 episodes in, so that didn't go to plan. And yeah, I kind of enjoyed it now, just about.
I will say one thing is, and it goes back to like the origins of the podcast and everything like that as well. I think now the main reason the podcast has lasted to 100 episodes are the two lads, the two Glaston wearing men beside me. Because like that, we joke about it all the time.
You're welcome.
But like you know, after the 6 month mark, like again, it was a hard, like the early dynamic was hard to keep because the lads, you know, they weren't big into wrestling, so it's hard to sit down every week, and it's been very hard to get them to do interviews and stuff like that because you know they just wouldn't have the the background info and stuff for it, like, do you know what I mean? And you know, when you're working a 40 hour week and everything, it's hard to commit to it too. Like you really need to be invested in stuff. Like I had to take a break and everything like that between like my thesis last year and everything like that, like finishing up college. I was working ridiculous shift work inside like a healthcare setting at the time. Like if it wasn't for the two boys like plowing ahead last year, we wouldn't have gotten to 100. But they got that, and you know the great thing about it is now, and I'm going to sound like a bit of a lick arse because I slag Martin the whole time. I never slag Carmo. Carmo's the best human being of all time. But like the whole reason it's lasted is because the lads got into Irish, like I was about to say Irish metal, they got into Irish wrestling, and it was an immediate like passion thing for them. Like, and I mean from the get go because like I was there for Martin's first show with them. It was both our first Irish wrestling show. Like I'd been to an Irish wrestling show.
honest to God, true story. I thought it was gonna be a botch fest because all I'd ever seen was American Indies, which was complete botch fest. And I thought, this would be funny now, and we just sat there and just like, this is so much better than what I'm watching on TV.
But you know, this is I would, to make a long story short, I do think that the podcast will last another 100 episodes. The reason for it is, and again, it's the reason we got to 100. If it wasn't for the Irish wrestling scene, because if that, like literally, as we were making the podcast, we got into that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the lads were at every single show. I was at as many shows as I could be last year with them and everything like this, same as this year and everything like that. And it's one of those things now is like, even if we were to stop today, we'll always be at as many shows as possible because that's the impact the podcast has had now is that's a huge factor in our lives. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know, like, like the National Stadium shows are a big deal. Do you know what I mean? We're planning bits for that way in advance. The lads don't need to do research a lot of the time because they know the guests inside and out from following products and everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. And like the fact now we have the weekly controversies, lads involved, and we've got like Joe Rob has come on board and stuff like that with this, the FiveMarks. And like to go from where it was in June of 2022 to where it is now, where it's like, you know, we were just five lads, you know, taking the piss out of New Jack sitting inside in our like flats and everything like this, like, you know, talk with fizzy potatoes. Now the boys more than anyone have relationships with talent, they have relationships with like, do you know what I mean? Like people who are involved in X, Y, and Z, they're going to things, they're getting recognized, everything like this. So they've just Irish Wrestling, the FiveMarks, like, you know, it's become like an inseparable thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I can't imagine either the lads are going to stop watching in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So as long as they're watching, there'll always be a podcast. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll always have something to say. The two of them never shut the fuck up. Like,
Right, so this is a specific question for Carmo. Carmo, if you had to pick one, never have. Oh, if you had to pick one, never have a hunky dory again, never go to another wrestling show, or never go to another wrestling show. Which are you giving up? Are you giving up hunky dories, or are you giving up wrestling?
See, it's an easy answer now. She was going off my Facebook profile picture, which is me holding a bag of dories. I'm more of a Pringles guy now, so I give up hunky dories.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Change, man.
This is for Martin.
Okay.
Martin gets stuck in a lift for a few hours with Galacini, Robbie Mack, or Claire himself.
So I'm stuck in an elevator.
With either
Galacini. So 100% not Rob, because he'd just talk the ear off me. Like I'd literally want to put his head through the fucking elevator. I could tolerate Claire, but depending on the time, I would want to be stuck with Galacini because of the entertainment value.
Just as like, you know, trying to get the elevator to movies doing his like jump through a leggy thing.
I'm the only person in there. He's there. Come on. How is this fixing the elevator? I
know this comes out well after they've done it. But congratulations to the Separate Man who was on their OTT debut as well.
Yeah.
100%.
Very
100%.
well done.
Very
new
excited.
OTT Tag Team Champions. Can you
Yeah,
believe it?
and €5,000 richer.
Believe it.
I heard Galacini was going to buy his own fucking chicken hut with that money.
Right. There's no question for Emmett, so I'm going to come up with one off the top of my head. Emmett, would you rather
I've got one for you.
listen to or go to the worst metal gigs or go to the worst wrestling shows for the rest of your life? There we go. That's something.
The boys from the Depths would argue that I go to the worst metal shows anyways. I go abroad. I don't know. I think there's a charm to terrible wrestling. I've never seen terrible wrestling in person, bar the show we went to. Yeah,
Yes,
bar
you
that
have.
kids show. Bar the kids show. All the other shows we went to.
It was
we went to
something like
Grand Slam Wrestling, I think it's called.
Guess where I'm wrestling this week?
Grand Slam Wrestling.
it got even worse.
In Leash.
Oh, if you're from down tennis, let us know.
This is coming out like in a week or
2 weeks.
whatever. 2 weeks. It's me, Con Kelly, Luke Frowell, and Butch Armstrong on the show, and then whatever lads they have already. I did a show in Carlow this time last year, and it was one of the most fun shows I've ever done. I'll maybe send on the clips so you can put them in, but like there's me like getting in an argument with a child and like I'm screaming at a child's screaming back at me. So much fun. So I can imagine maybe another Grand Slam show not being too great.
So the thing is, right, it was the third show we'd ever gone to, and we thought it was actually American wrestling because that's what's advertised. It doesn't say you're going to go see Irish talent. So we think, oh, €10, sure. What else? What else would you fucking be doing on a Saturday night? It's a kids show. It's 4 fucking gobshites and a whole bunch of kids.
Yeah,
And
but it's not like an NLW show where you have that kind of a mixture of a crowd.
Yeah.
Like we were 25, 26,
no,
27
Kevin wasn't there. It
year-olds.
was only the 4 of us.
Kevin was in there. Kevin
he
was
wasn't.
there. It was
Kevin
five
was
of
there.
us.
Was he
Yeah,
there?
it was 5 of us. Yeah.
I sat with Kevin
And-
for that show.
5 of us walk in and we just see kids everywhere. And we're like, right, we're in the wrong place here.
Oh, well, I wanted to go. I wanted to turn around.
However,
and leave. I swear
it
to
gave
God.
us hilarious fucking memories of just the over the top commentary. Buy your backstage pass to meet all the wrestlers. And
So bad.
The fucking the whoever gets thrown out just getting. They're supposed to get belted with them fucking plastic.
Oh, I did. I wrestled 2 matches that night. And the second match, when I was making my entrance, you have to like walk all the way around. Just a sea of children just swarmed me with these fucking inflatable hammers, beating the shit out of me. I'm pretty good at like keeping my composure, but I started pissing myself laughing, seeing the sea of children just fucking whacking me. It was so fucking funny.
But the thing is,
I
the kids in Ennis, like half of them didn't have fucking hammers. They're just beating the fuck out of you, kicking you, everything.
Literally, like,
Oh,
And
yeah.
you remember the
Thumping
amount
the
of
shit
times
out
he'd
of
be like, hammers only, hammers only. It's just like, the poor lads are getting their fucking arses kicked.
He was nearly screaming that at the end too. Like he was like, right, get away from him, like literally clearing the kids away from whoever they were hitting. But it was so bad.
who was
Terrible.
it that was there? It was Reid O'Connor, Chris Connolly, Killdozer, Dino. I don't know who
And
the
then there
other
was
were.
someone in a mask. I don't know who was actually in the mask. There were
Was he
loads of
wearing red?
Red mask. It was kind of like a Rey Mysterio mask.
people. It was like a
Yeah,
really-
I wrestled him. Yeah. I can't remember his shooting him, but he was the Super Lucha.
Yeah.
That's him.
And
I
I
haven't
need
really
to
seen
send you a clip of him. He does like the Eddie Guerrero like roll into the ring like over the top rope. But instead of rolling, he just takes a flat back bump. It's the funniest fucking thing that's ever happened in a match of mine. I just like I point at him and I have to stop myself from pissing myself laughing. I was just like, oh, and he springs back up and he's like, it's
We should
so
go to
fun.
we should go to another for the 2nd anniversary of the show in June. We'll find out where in the island of Ireland one of these kid shows happen and drive all the way down.
Imagine.
I don't think I
man.
could. Just to again have a sea of fucking parents and kids, and then just 3 gobshites.
5.
We're gonna drag him again. We're gonna bring him again.
So next question from Claire. This is going to be the Claire section of the podcast, so you're going to have to timestamp it. For all of you, are there shows you've already done that you wish you could do over for whatever reason? Maybe you weren't happy with it, or didn't ask what you wanted, etc. and etc.
So I'm assuming them 2 are thing, but straight off the bat, the Fabio one. But nothing to do with
Yeah.
Fabio. I've said this sometimes. It is not like the episode is actually turned out perfect. It's because I was so unprepared and we just had this happen with Santos. I was prepared already because we were supposed to do it like a week in advance, but it fell through. I thought we agreed for a Thursday. We agreed for a Tuesday. So I was walking, I just got out of work, and Fabio texted me like, hey, we still on for tonight at 8. And I just went, the fuck? No, it's Thursday. Oh, he's probably just got the time wrong. Let me just... Oh, shit. Fucking texted Carmel like, are you, like, I got it wrong. Are you good for tonight? Yeah, I'm good for tonight. I was so unprepared, had just panicked so much that I thought the episode went shit. And I literally said to Carmen after, I was like, Fabio's never come back on again. I don't know why that was just in my head. That was so shit. Carmen was like, episode fine. I said, thanks Fabio, just come on. Hope the episode was good for you. He goes, that was fucking great crack. Like, cheers. I'd love to be on again. And I was like, oh, thank God. I would literally go back just to be more prepared. That's literally it. It's the one episode where I go, fuck, I feel like I fucked that up. Carmel.
I don't know. There's been a lot of situations where like we've all finished an episode and kind of gone, well, that was fucking awful. Not on the guest part, just on our part. And sometimes it's only been one of us, some of them it's been both of us. But yet you go back and listen to the episode and it was absolutely perfect. Couldn't miss a step. One for me that if I could redo would have been the Dennis Murphy one, and that would have been for my own reasons. I was muted a lot through that episode because I was living in a house in Limerick at the time with a few lads, and unfortunately, one of the gobshites down there, he doesn't listen to this, that's fine. Decided to bring in like this fucking ESB lady to like sign over our gas and electrics. So she was in the kitchen the whole time. Well, I was also in the kitchen trying to do a fucking interview, and they wouldn't shut up talking. They were there for like an hour just ratting on.
I remember this.
So I had to be muted for like most of the episode, so I didn't really get to talk to Dennis. I think Dennis thought I was probably some sort of loser or something like that, just sitting there for the crack. Like, so for me, that would have been one that I'd go back and redo.
What about you, Emmett?
I think any of the ones that I've walked away from not happy has been more to do with extenuating circumstances more than anything kind of in the moments. Like
that quiz episode where he got really pissed off.
oh, we're moving on from that. But one I want to highlight this really, really quick as well was the LJ one. Again, we had a time constraint. So like that, Carmo had been following the Irish scene for nearly 18 months. No, 12 months at that point. Like so he knew LJ's career fairly well. I knew LJ's career like for someone who'd only started watching 90 days per okay, like do you know what I mean? But like now since like the past summer and everything like this, like the lads will tell you, like we obviously do Retrorama every now and again on the show. Like I've been going back watching like really, really early stuff with like LJ from like the modern hype days to like this run he's been on since like the post pandemic shows and everything when they came back. And I just wish if I had that knowledge back then to do and if we had more time. Basically, if we could do a second part with LJ, I'd love it. But the thing about it is, we'd have to have the three of us on for it. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's the most you can ever really have at one time as well. It's like the one thing too is like, I know the lads can attest to this from having doing like anytime the lads think something's gone tits up. If I get to listen to it on the Zoom, like we have all the recordings there, I can just back to it. I'm usually the one giving reassurance, being like, that was absolutely fine. I did that after the Fabio one. I remember Martin that whole week was saying to me, "Rock, it's terrible, terrible." I listened to it and it was absolutely fine. I was just like, Jesus Christ, like, do you know what I mean? But it is one of those things as well. I wanted to just say one thing really quick about it too. Is like when you're talking to people over Zoom, especially someone that you've never conversed with before, that little delay because you're talking over the internet, that can make stuff sound very awkward at times, or at least feel very awkward at times. Whereas like when you're sitting across from someone, it's very different. Like, Joe, you can read body language better. There's no delay with Wi-Fi. You're not worrying about sound, any of these things or whatever like that. Like, do you know what I mean? If there was one that we've done that I wish it could go on though, again, it would be the Angus McNally one. Like, I swear to God, I was so jealous listening to that interview back and everything like this. So I was like, and as well as that, only having recently got into Irish Wrestling at the time, that would have been a perfect one for me to have fucking slotted in. But again, was like head deep in the thesis at the time.
I'll give you a funny story about that LJ interview actually. So we interviewed LJ at 10 o'clock in the morning. LJ's a busy man, he trains all over Ireland. So we did it at 10 o'clock in the morning, which was fair. We got about an hour with LJ. I think we finished around 11, 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I was obviously, I woke up and kind of prepared for that interview, did the interview, happy out, grand, perfect, starving hungry, wanted to go get something to eat. But Emmett decided, no, I'm going to keep you here for another 2 hours and just talk absolute nonsense.
No,
2 hours.
No, that's not how that happened.
That's exactly how that went.
You called me. Okay, right. I'm going to say one thing now for all my faults the last 12 months. I know the boys here can attest this. I know the boys from that episode attest this as well. I am a fucking terrible man for coming up with 101 ideas on the spot. And I always need assistance for getting those things to happen. And literally after the LJ thing, because I hadn't been on in about maybe 3 or 4 weeks at that stage or whatever, I said to Carmo, we were both hungry. I was cooking while I called you. We were coming up with 101 ideas and everything. And by the end of the phone call, Carmo was just like, man, please.
Let me eat, please.
Right, so
Yes.
again from Mrs. Flood, which wrestler in your experience is the worst for breaking when you're doing live interviews / promos at shows, and which mark is the worst for doing so?
Me, I'm the worst, Mark, because I will forget lines. Not like forget lines. I'll forget names. Like it's all over the bloopers. I'll fucking go say, oh, the FiveMarks park. Bleh. I stumble my words so much, so I'm the worst for it.
I do that as well, though. I stumble my words, but I normally just kind of keep going. I'm like, that's fine. We keep going.
Who's the worst wrestler for fucking breaking?
I remember watching the interview, The Social Elite. There was a lot of giddiness in that.
Oh my god, yeah, fucking Guinness, because he Guinness. So just a little backstory. There was, fuck, what show was it? It was a Hard Luck. The lads, I think, were the first match. So obviously, they get done. They won the tag titles. It's time to celebrate. So by the time we get to the end of the show, we're doing interviews. Now, thank God, it was two mistakes, and then the third one was perfect. But every time it got to Sean's part, he'd go perfect. He's going and going, and it would get to the big, calling out whoever, and he would just, what's that fucking tag team's name again? Fuck it, it's fucked now. Start again. And myself and Matthew would just start pissing ourselves laughing. So Guinness was one. One person that doesn't break, but like he fucking makes me laugh is this cunt. Like especially when you won the fucking title. Coming over to the camera, I want a bell. I want a bell. And then fucking Luke fucking Kay came over. He want a bell. Oh, that made me laugh so much.
What makes me laugh about that is like how like it seems like Keen and Luke in that moment are like rendered in like 2 frames a second. Like they're just like so choppy like this and that it's not like that just makes me laugh. But yeah, that was a very funny moment.
For not many of the lads break, but a lot of the lads like we might be mid interview and like RCW was a big one. Every fucking time we were doing an interview and Gala would walk past, he had to stop, look into the camera and say something. Every fucking time. And I was just like, would you fuck off?
I have a bad habit of that as well. If we had NLW this past weekend, and we had a documentary crew there, and the amount of times they'd be interviewing somebody, and I just had to like hold myself back and not go over and say something just completely stupid. It's a very hard thing to do when you are addicted to being on camera. So.
Do you know who would be the one that would be the worst for like either stuttering or forgetting where they were going? He's a lot better now, especially with the last one. Mercer.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I'll plan out. Normally when me and Mercer do an interview after a show, I'll kind of go, right, I'm going to ask you this, and Mercer will go, grand, I'll say this, and then I'll say, okay, I'm going to ask you this, and he'll say, grand, I'll say this. We get in front of the camera, we push play, and he just fumbles. It's hilarious. It gets me every time, and I try to hold my composure, but he like the last one we did. I shouldn't say this because he asked us to take it out, but like all he did was talk about neighbors, and I was like, "Where are you going with this?" But
he even called me over. It's like, "Do you know this one scene?" No.
And he just rambled on about neighbors for like 5 minutes. It was hilarious. One of the toughest people to interview, actually, because of how character based he is, and he's not trying to be funny, but sometimes is Renzo.
Yeah.
He's just like the interview we did with him where he's talking about where he's comparing Sem to like a bottle of hand sanitizer and him to this bottle of wine is just one of the funniest things you'll ever see. But he's being pure genuine, he's here, and it's just priceless.
Grant. So again from Claire, we're getting through all these because they're actually really good questions. Looking back over OTT over the years, what one match stands out that you wish you had seen live? I've kicked myself over so many good ones I missed.
It's so hard to narrow it down to
First one that comes to my head, and Carmel will 100% agree to this because he was there for it. The 4-way at Scrapper, LJ, Robbie X, Oku, and Swerve.
Still to this day, one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen live, ever.
Wish
So,
I was
so
there
good.
for that. Um,
I think, and Emmett will definitely agree with me with this one. I don't know about Martin, but I think Devlin Walter
yeah, no, I was gonna say
Mhm.
would have been one of the
Yeah.
bigger ones.
Which
there's
one though?
I would say two.
Both.
I, I I was there for two. Two was fucking. That's my favorite match I've ever seen live. It's a very very good
Yeah,
match.
they're
now
both so good.
there's one match I can't say what the match was, but it was a big rivalry. It kicked off a show. I think it was WrestleRama. It was fucking mental, and that's one I would have been loved to have been there live for.
Who was in
There's
the
a couple of
match?
matches
I can't
kind
say
of
who was in
mention,
the match.
unfortunately, would have been.
I
Oh,
cannot say who was in that match.
And it's I will say this now, without
He
saying
wishes he was there for the whole thing.
that, yeah, we've talked about this off camera quite a lot. Obviously can't say who and everything. There's one on YouTube. I'm not going to spoil anything. I will say it involves a current member of a big US promotion. That's as much as I can say, but it's excellent. I will say though, to answer the question for people we can talk about, I watched this. I've watched this. I would say
I was there for that one as well. Actually, sorry. Oh, actually, I
the
just missed it. Excuse me. Sorry. Continue.
I can't. I've killed if I was if I was talking about it. But the two I would say off the top of my head, I would say Walter and Will Ospreay
I
for
was
the
there
world
for that.
Yeah,
title. That was an
yeah.
excellent match.
Very
And
good.
as well as that, Will Ospreay versus Matt Riddle, both of which are
Incredible
on
match.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Very, very good. They were the two of the earliest OTT matches I watched. If I hadn't watched those, I wouldn't have watched. What was the anniversary show that the two E guys went to? The one with Cardona. It was very, very early.
90 odd
Eighth.
nature, yeah.
Eighth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one as well, and it would have been nearly more so for the crowd, and to see Ryan Smile would have been Ryan Smile with Osprey, and we interviewed
Leo.
him the other day. What's his name?
Hero Rush.
Leo Rush against
Jesus
the Elite.
Christ.
I
Just
forgot
some
his
small
name.
indie guy.
Forgot his name. That would have been a
Versus
cool one.
the indie fellas like the Elite or something like that.
Yeah, something
What
like
they're
that.
called.
Versus,
Yeah.
yeah, versus the AEW.
Versus the AEW.
Matthew and Nicholas, those guys.
The Bookles.
Damn bookles. I will say for a couple of matches that you guys talked about there, Devlin and Walter, Walter Osprey and Osprey Riddle. Like I would not be training, and I would have never wrestled in OTT if it wasn't for those matches. Especially Devlin versus Walter. That is one of my favorite matches I've ever seen. Like just in general, I don't know if I have footage of it, but like I remember just screaming my fucking head off when Devlin won at the end of that match. It's such a surreal moment, and then as well, just like to fucking be sat in the crowd, watching that, and then like half of the guys that get in the ring to celebrate with Devlin, like I know very well. It's such a cool journey. For me personally, I know I'm not a FiveMark, but I'm going to answer this question as well.
Go on.
For me personally, is the Uptown Funkers versus the Elite. I was trying to go to that show, but for whatever reason, I couldn't go, and it's actually, like to this day, like a really big regret for me. But if I could have seen that, like a fucking.
Do you want to hear a worse story?
Oh,
When
go on.
it comes to that night, Gala was there. Gala watched the entrances,
Yeah.
and Gala had to go get the boss home.
Oh, I would cry, bloody well cry, because I was a big Kenny Omega mark back then.
Just one honorable mention, actually, because I've watched this so many fucking times. Scotty versus Will for the IWGP heavyweight title.
Oh, so good.
I
Oh, so
wish
good.
I was there. One, because of the crowd, and two, because the match was just fucking. It's so good.
Mm.
I hate it's the one. I hate Noonan for it because like he's like right there, hard cam, fucking sitting in the crowd. And I'm like, you bastard, you were there for that.
I was in the crowd for that as well.
I hate you too.
Yeah, I that was a couple of weeks after I started training. Um, and I remember I filmed Osprey's entrance and took like some photos of Osprey, and he goddamn put them on his story. And I was like,
Sick.
that is the
Man.
closest I'll ever get to meeting Osprey or whatever the fuck. And then we had a seminar with him. I was like, he called me Morishima, so he just basically called me fat.
Oh,
Oh, he's not wrong.
Okay.
So our next question, I'm gonna go away from Claire for now.
Yeah, fuck you, Claire.
Oh, okay, damn. This comes from
treat our
Helen.
fans here.
This comes from Helen Flood. Who is your favorite Irish or regular import wrestler?
Robbie X.
Okay.
Like straight off the bat, Robbie X. Like the fucking, he's so like fun to watch. The Revolution kick is just one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen. So yeah, just like my like the FiveMarks Twitter says it all about Robbie X. I started a fucking thing of getting people to tweet at TNA to sign the fucker. TNA, sign Robbie X.
What a fucking mark, huh?
I want a t-shirt.
What about you, Cameron?
Can we answer it in like 2 parts? Can we talk about
Yeah.
like Irish and import?
Go on.
Yeah.
So boots, obviously.
Oh my god, what a mark!
It is obvious. And Francis Mercer, of course. Import.
You're all just Robbie X now.
I'm gonna do that for the next Hard Knock show. Anytime someone comes out, just throw the X on.
Import. I always get pretty, I suppose, excited to see Leon Slater on the card. Just because he's so talented. So talented. So yeah, probably Leon Slater.
Emmett.
Yeah. For an import, I'm going to go and say a man like Derice, because man like Derice is
All that entrance is
Just-
fucking.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I will say one thing too. The gear he had for the Rumble was the coolest fucking shit.
So
I've ever seen in my
cool.
life.
There you go.
That was
was
fucking
class.
sick. It was
Oh,
sick.
I've seen like photos and stuff since, and he has been wearing it. I'm like, man, throw them into the wash and fucking stick them back on for fuck's
I
sake.
want to give an honorable mention as well to him dancing to CJ's music while also kicking the shit out of somebody.
And so, what was the favorite import? And then what was the other half of the question? Like favorite Irish talent?
Yeah.
That's a really hard one.
But because I didn't answer that, by the way, Jay.
Yeah, there's a list of about 20 different people for the Irish one. Like probably more.
I'm going to say something that's fairly obvious now with this one, and I think it goes without saying. So it might be a little bit of a redundant one. I'm going to say Sammy D, but the reason I'm going to say Sammy D is because a major part of when we started watching Irish shows that got me going to Irish shows was that initial run with the draw. That was fucking sick. The match with Be Cool, where he retired Be Cool for a period. The whole run he had with like the gender neutral title, or not the gender neutral, but the NLW title for a phase, and the NLW title stuff, the stuff with Sky Too Hottie, the match with Joe, and then like everything leading up to Scrapper. Like the Scrapper main event last year was what had me going from like casually going to shows with the lads to actively following properly. Do you know what I mean? And that run has a lot to do with it, like, do you know what I mean? And as well as that, he's my mother's favorite wrestler, and he was an absolute saint when interacting with man. Do you know what I mean? So he'll always have brownie points to me over that.
Your daddy's home, isn't it? Your daddy's home.
Mammy's home too.
Oh. This is also from Helen. Who, and you've probably answered this like a million times, so if you don't want to stick on it, that's fine. Who would be your dream interview?
FTR. Dax and Cash. I said as well, because I said to Emmett and shit, because like, I don't drink. I do not drink. For years I couldn't medically, but I can. If I wanted to, I can have a drink now. I said to the lads, I will have my first drink ever if we ever get Dax and Cash on for an interview. That because I'll just be like, yeah, lads, podcast is yours now. I'm done.
Dream interview. It'd probably have to be Dan Owsden, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. In actuality, I suppose The Undertaker would be a pretty awesome one. Never that'll happen, but like that'd be awesome.
I heard Emmett's is Chris Jericho.
Man,
Why did
this
you
has
do
been
it? Why did you do it? This is why you're the heel of the podcast.
this is one that's going to annoy Martin, but Chris Jericho has to come on from the depths, not the FiveMarks.
The FiveMarks was like a month old.
He's got a point though. We're now 100 episodes in. Like,
Very true. To answer it really short, really sweet, if it was someone who's alive, it would be Phil Brooks.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess CM Punk. Yeah, no, I followed his career, man, since pretty much from day one, like the ROH stuff and everything. But if it was someone who's passed, and it was a big reason why he was the top of the first retro, I would have given anything to have sat down and had a pint for 2 hours with Terry Funk.
yeah, great one. Yeah.
Right. So the next question comes from Claire again. What is your favorite photo from a live show? One you took or one you of a wrestler, or of you with a wrestler? Yes, that is.
I know Martin's already. I'm pretty sure I know Emmett's.
Do you know both of mine though? One with the wrestler and one I took.
No.
Perfect.
I don't think so. I know one of them.
Yeah.
And Emmett's probably the same.
Could you guess them and would see if you're right?
Both of yours are Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Not with, but of something I took, yes.
So
I don't know the other one.
Mine is with a wrestler. Mine is Will Ospreay, and it's the shitty one I took beforehand, the one that's blurred and shit, because the interaction of So I've told the story, but just very quick. It's not about Tony Khan. Fuck off. So
it's going to be a 3-hour episode. Get on with it. We've all heard the story.
So I never set the timer flash. Nothing. Timer flash were fucking set. Do you want fuck you then, Carmel? Go on. What's yours, Carmel?
Debbie Keitel at one of the Limerick shows where she let me hold the title, and she did that while I was holding it. That was a pretty cool moment.
Oh.
And what's one that you took? You don't take photos.
I don't really take photos, no.
Oh, yeah. One I took, and I love that the person loves it. I got a class photo at Scrapper last year of Sem and Santino mid-air doing the trombone. So like they're both in the air doing the trombone thing. It's like the lighting, everything just perfectly fucking worked for me. It just looks class. It's one of my favorite photos that I took.
I would say for photo with the wrestler, my favorite one I've gotten is actually the one with Barry at Wrestle Ramble this past year, purely because I stand at 6'1" and he made me kneel down for the photo. So I look like a midget standing beside him, which is ridiculous. Like, but
That's
for
great.
photos,
And you helped him win the Rumble.
man, I did.
We all did.
I tell
I
you,
did specifically.
I've been on screen on every OTT show this year so far. Both I was
In a
involved in the
Barry
Rumble.
segment.
That's more than me.
Twice he's been in a Barry fucking either like one was a match and one was a segment of fucking Damo.
If you watch back the last show on demand when Damo was going through the queue, you can see me really awkwardly in an orange beanie just go like I like move like this. But when it comes to ones I've taken at a show, I would argue I've taken the best photo of any of us have gotten since the podcast started, and that is the corner photo I have of Will Ospreay on my Instagram.
Yeah.
The lighting hits it perfectly. It is immaculate. I swear to God, I could nearly sell it to him for him to use as prints. It's fantastic. Like, and you would never guess that I was 6 beers deep taking that. Like, it is just perfectly like highlighted.
This is my favorite photo of me with a wrestler.
Hurricane.
Class.
But that was my first time ever just like shaving like a mustache into my ugly face. And so now to have this, I feel like even though I was like 18 there, I felt like a fucking pedophile. And for favorite picture I've taken of a wrestler, I think I have it somewhere here really quickly. For sentimental reasons, this picture of Ospreay. that I have
Oh
that he
my
put on his
god,
Very cool.
class.
that I put on my story, or that he put on his story. I definitely have another one somewhere. Fuck, it's right around here. Da-da-da-da-da. This one on Bonesaw. It's pretty cool.
Oh,
Very cool, actually.
You swear you're a photographer.
I've dabbled.
Actually,
I've
I have a
dabbled.
cool picture that I took of a wrestler, actually, which is Will Ospreay as well. It was at the Rev Pro show.
So
High
photogenic.
Stakes. His high stakes show, the last match he had in the UK. I was up on the balcony where they send the shirts, and I got a picture of the whole crowd and Ospreay just in the middle of the ring. That was pretty cool.
Also, Jay's background, or is it Lee's background? I think it's Jay's. His background on his Facebook is a picture I took.
That's it.
And then as well, like I've Joe's promo pic for 8th year anniversary against Sam is a picture I took. And anytime I see like somebody's promo pic that I've taken on like a poster or anything like that, I feel like very proud and it feels really
I
cool.
did that.
That's class.
I forgot I was asking the questions. Do we have any more questions from fans? From
Oh, for fuck's sake.
the Robert Orr. What's it like knowing as a podcast to hit 100 episodes? And also, if you were to pick 2 people to guest host an episode, who would it be?
Once you've already done one, so I'm going to exclude you from this.
Sorry.
Just ends the
breaks up
episode.
his setup now.
Guest host. Stepper
I've got-
Manos.
I
That'll
thought,
be
That'll be
good.
one.
I
Yeah.
thought that when it came to my head, that'd be a funny one.
Sam has kind of guest hosted as well.
He has.
Mm.
What would it look like if he was in character hosting though? That'd be very interesting. It
That
could be
would
like an
be-
hour. Couldn't be an hour, but like if he hosted like
It'll be an
episode.
hour of charades.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Yeah,
episode.
that'd be an interesting one. He'd have to
That'd
get
be
like cue cards or something.
Yeah.
God help the
I think
Spotify listeners.
Barry hosting one would be hilarious.
Mm.
Barry would be very good.
We need to get Barry on first before he can guest host. He doesn't get that promotion without coming on for an interview first. I'm going to throw out one because I think this would be a lovely idea, and I'm going to throw it out there on the air for the 2nd anniversary episode. Is if you let myself and Angus McAnally interview the 2 of you boys.
I mean, I'm down.
What a mark.
I'm down.
I'm just looking for any excuse to converse with Angus McAnally. I swear to God, he could read me the Bible and I'd buy it on CD. Like,
Time is now. The place is here. This is the Five
is the
Marks
Old
podcast.
Testament.
Stepper Manos. Yeah, I think that's about it.
I'd let anybody host. It's like if any wrestler's like, hey, can I host an episode? I'll ask you guys.
Robbie
random-"
Mack.
Okay, I wouldn't let
He
anybody
practically has
host.
at this point. He's
He
been on so
fucking-
many episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never forget the 5 hours of editing that fucking Christmas episode because of that cunt.
Boots. No, I'm not going to say anything.
He knows what he. I don't know. Do you remember what you did when you came in?
Yeah, what did I say?
I
Something
don't think
about-
you could say it.
You can't. You can talk about the bus, but not afterwards. You came in giving out about the bus system being late, and then you went on.
Was there a fire truck involved or something? I can't remember.
No, so like you were giving out giving out about the bus, and then
Yeah.
Rob turned around and goes, "Well, if you guys weren't burning down fucking your buses, like you wouldn't have a problem." And then
Yes.
and then that went on a whole other round of itself. I was like, I gotta edit this out.
Yeah.
Have some balls. Put the offensive thing in the. Have some goddamn balls, guys. Sea monkeys reproduce sexually.
Oh
and
my
asexually.
god, not again!
That's the next t-shirt.
Oh gosh.
This is Big Seahorse Murphy.
I'm gonna reproduce asexually.
Fuck's sake.
Instead of like the regular Billy Ray Cyrus version of her theme, just have like a CD like whammy guitar.
Come out the ocean, man. So, right. So, this is the final question from Claire. Who, in each of your opinions, will be Hard Knocks champion by Xmas? OTT champ, male or female? And who is beating Owen for the RCW title? I think the answer should be Big Boots Murphy for everything there, but that's
Even the women's title.
it's 2020. It's 2024.
Yeah.
I probably have bigger boobs than most of the women in Irish wrestling.
Session out, Martina.
My boobs are bigger than yours.
We'll give you the GN title, Sobens.
So
Wow,
are
so
we
I'm
gonna
not even
do-
allowed to have a gender.
Are we just doing the belt set now, or are we going to just fucking do all of them?
Let's like make it interesting. Every single belt, like within reason, in Irish wrestling. So who do you want to beat Trent? Who do you want to beat Renzo? Who do you want to beat Sam for the Hard Knocks belt? Who do you want to beat Celine for the GN belt? Who do you want to beat Renzo again for the All Ireland belt? It's me. And then who can you see beating Martina for the any belt?
Okay, so
Right, give us a belt and we'll all go through them.
let's start with
Right,
Hard
so-
Knocks.
Hard Knocks, the world title. Who do you want taking that off, Sam?
I'd love nothing more than to see Mercer win it.
Yeah. Okay,
But
that's
I
fair.
think for Limerick, Steve Savage.
I think, God, as well. I'm trying to think of the golden ticket tournament that's going on. By the time we get to Christmas, I think Sam will still be champ. I think Sam will still be champion.
Okay.
Emmett?
I'm going to agree with Martin, but I'm just going to throw this in very quick too. I think whoever wins the golden ticket tournament is not going to be successful at cashing
No.
it in, and I think the person who is going to beat Sam for the title down the line is going to be Butch Armstrong.
So you're saying that Big Boost Murphy is going to
Interesting.
unsuccessfully cash in the golden ticket?
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Hang on a minute. There was a version of the draw in Hard Knocks. It always come back. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
The numbers say
I
it
wish.
all, so.
I wish.
So for the Hard Knocks All Ireland Championship, who is beating Renzo?
There's two for me. There's two. Genuinely honest, there's two for me. One is Boots, and the other is Key Newman.
So I was going to say one, Boots never should have lost it, but I was going to say
Yes.
by the time we get to Christmas, Noonan.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be Boots because I think universally everyone was fairly pissy over the fact that it was like a one defense reign, and I think that you're owed your your rematch against Renzo at some point or another, like you know what I mean.
Just kiss
And
him
I'd love
already.
to.
Oh, I won't stop.
It's 2024.
You know what the irony in this now, and I can't even suggest it seriously. I was going to be like, imagine you were chasing him for a while and then you finished with an Ironman match. Then that joke came in, so I can't even mention the idea of an Ironman match. The old way different show, like.
Right, so Trent 7. Who would you like to
Barry.
see take the belt? Barry? Okay.
Barry or Jay,
Barry.
I think.
Universally Barry. Oh, okay. I would agree with Barry.
It better be the storyline I put in because I just nothing else would be bigger than what I pitched.
Hmm.
I pitched to Joe now, but
So Renzo Rose. Now he obviously has a stipulation for the NLW belts. So no Irish can challenge for it. So I'll ask for two wrestlers. If the stipulation gets lifted, which Irish wrestler would you like to beat him for the belt? Or if it doesn't get lifted, what international talent would you like to see be NLW champion?
doesn't get lifted. Sam.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause he's not from anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah, it's good show.
This is kind of cheating because it's not an Irish talent, but like Santos, I can't go against Santos.
Okay.
I'd agree with Santos.
Mm.
This one as well is kind of 50-50 because he is an Irish talent, but I think at the moment he's considered not an Irish talent, even though he is an Irish talent. Demo,
Mm.
that would be pretty cool. But I'd see Jay hold the NLW as well.
Mm. I'd have to agree with you there. I was going to say if it was an Irish talent for it to be Jay, because then you could possibly scrap for next year, have like title versus title, NLW title for the world title and everything, which I think would be pretty cool. But if it's an international talent, I'm going to go a little outside the regular ballpark. I'm actually going to say Mark Haskins. I'd love to see Mark
Ooh,
Haskins come
good
back and
shout.
take the belt.
So, if let's say the rule gets lifted, who'd you want to see win it, Big Boots Murphy?
Robbie Mack.
Thank you for joining us for the 100th episode of the Five Marks.
Keep an eye on your DMs. We're going to get a message.
Oh, just that's mad. Just as you said that. It feels like the story should go towards an Irish talent, but again, if it's not an Irish talent, Santos, like I never thought about Santos, but Santos would be a really good NLW champion. I like that answer, so I'm gonna copy you guys.
I wanna actually bring this point up here a little bit.
Oh,
So
here we go.
when we talk Irish talent, right? I think this is an actual genuine question.
Okay.
When we talk Irish talent, right? We're obviously looking at like your 70s, your Bootses, your Keens, your people like that. Like Sam is practically an Irish talent at this stage.
No, it's
Renzo is an Irish talent.
Yeah, true. Actually, okay. I see what you
So
mean.
you kind of have to like think, just like practically, where were they trained? You know, Andrea, Josh, they were trained here. They didn't train anywhere else. They were trained here. So I would consider them Irish talent. They just because they were born somewhere else doesn't mean that they're not Irish talent. They were taught the Irish way. They live here 24/7. Even Ilya and Renzo, are definitely adopted. They started training elsewhere, but I think their craft and they honed their skills here. And I would hazard, I guess, to say that they definitely would consider themselves more a part of the Irish scene than any other scene that they've been a part of before. So it all really depends. And even with Santos as well, like I feel like he's starting to become kind of our adopted guy as well. And I would consider him more an Irish talent. And even some of the French lads as well, like Kuro especially. Once he starts getting booked more over here, he is going to be kind of integrated with our scene. Because like everybody loves Kuro, he's the fucking coolest. So yeah, I would agree with you, Carmel. Like there is a line that like between like import or like foreigner and then Irish talent. Like even for a period, I was like, the Reese is kind of like almost crossing over to us, you know.
What's Kuro's tag team again?
Hype Dogs.
Hype Dog. I'd love to see more of Hype Dog. I was so impressed by the two of them at the
me, not to promote myself, but like me and Mecca would have like the best fucking match on the planet.
Big
like we
meaty
would.
men slapping meat.
Yeah.
And both big meaty athletic men. Because like you guys, I purposely do it, but like you guys haven't seen. I'm just going to make me sound like Will Ospreay or something, but I am deceptively athletic for my size.
I've seen you dive on your videos.
Yeah, I can do a few flips, but like me versus Mecca, like we both are like just big lads that are deceptively athletic, and I want to wrestle that man. He's a big man, and I want a big meaty man slap match. It's all about that beef. Oh,
Make Biggie proud.
I can't use that voice anymore. So I think that's a good like basis of the belts. Obviously, if
there's a lot more belts, and we'll be here for another 2 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to end off the kind of podcast, because I feel like we're kind of winding down now, we're gonna transition over to my my questions, and they're going to be pretty quick. Well, I say this, but then
Emmett likes to
you
ramble.
want yeah, and
Yes,
so
I do.
so do I.
As long
So-
as one of the questions isn't about Tony Khan, we're okay.
Yes, please. I have a
Right,
lot
so
more now
question-
since the Pug interview dropped yesterday.
So, question number one: why is Tony Khan the best booker in? all
I'm
of
fucking
America?
out of here.
Nah, no. Right. So again, I want you guys to be loose, really like feel the questions, like answer honestly. So, who, in your opinion, is the worst guest to ever be on the FiveMarks podcast? All of you just
See, because we've talked about this before, and it's really hard to say.
brutally honest.
So it's
Okay.
like pretty honest. It's really
I-
hard to say because everyone has been super, super good.
Hmm.
So I'm putting down this one person specifically for the one interview, and that's Robbie Mack in the fucking Hard Knocks sit down. That's my answer.
Oh,
And he knows why. He knows what the fuck he did.
he's been on your podcast for what, 3 times?
Three times,
four,
yeah.
three.
2 times he was grand. That one fucking time.
It was a crowd, you see, that was the issue.
Carmel.
I have an answer, and I'm afraid to say it. For the only reason being is that the guy himself is close to beating me up as it is. And I'm going to call him a very nice guy, even though he's a prick. Chris Connolly, and it was actually a great interview for Chris Connolly.
Emmett. Yep.
See that this is the weird one you see now, because I could answer this from the few I've been on, or I could answer this as a
Whatever.
punter,
If there's one that you listened to that you thought was shit, or when you were part of that you thought was shit, just know.
Just be
the one-
careful, you know,
just
you
the
might get
one-
banned from shows because of this.
But as well, just
I-
know.
I have
Sorry.
a very safe answer for this. I have a very safe answer for this, and it actually goes back to something I said earlier. I could say one that I did, but I'm not going to. I will say this one, and the reason I'll say it is because it was over Zoom. There was a language barrier, and if it had been in person, it would have flowed better, which wasn't a fault on the guest or on me. And I would say it was the recent one with Santos. But again, solely because of the fact it was done over Zoom. I think if that was done in person, in real time, with no delays and stuff like that,
Okay.
I think the language barrier thing wouldn't have been an issue. I think it would have just, like the two of you are easy to get on with. Like, yeah, are easy to get on with, despite the fact that Martin smells like rotten milk. You're two easy lads to get on with. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think like there wasn't any issues. An interview sounds fine.
I
you know,
thought
that kind
I
of-
thought you would have a different answer, and I think you.
I
know the
initially
one-
did.
You did. Okay.
He still does.
Say
He's
it.
afraid to
say
say
it.
it.
Still do,
Say it.
I'm gonna
It's
okay.
safe
but
because the
I'm
We
gonna
can,
person.
say-
bleep, we
the
can
person.
bleep it if it's that bad. If we all disagree with
I'm
it,
gonna,
we can bleep
I'm
it.
going to say it, but the reason I don't want to say it is because I'm going to feel really, really rude for saying it, and I will say the person in the moment was absolutely fine, and we got through it and everything like this. When we interviewed Mikey Kelly, he was so nervous. Now, Carmo and I did that interview, and we gave him savage reassurance. And once he kind of like, got over the initial nerves and everything like that, we had a great, great conversation. I hate saying it because I absolutely fucking loved the stuff he was doing Hard Knocks before he's taken this break. I'd love to have him back on again. I was
100%.
super excited to see what he was going to do as like the months and stuff gone on. But it was just, again, like he'd never done any media before, like, do you know what I mean? And like I thought this would be an easy one because like he knew Carmo and everything like this. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, we will talk until the cows come home because we're used to doing it, like, do you know what I mean? There's a big difference between talking in front of like 200 people in Dolan's, and so this can be very awkward for people, like, do you know what I mean? And I get that, appreciate it. Like, so I don't want to say it's a terrible interview, but it was like, because it's not like, you listen back, like, we chopped and changed it as we told him we would. Like, we were there and we were like, if there's any long pauses or whatever because of like, a delay with an answer, take time to think about it. It's why we don't do them live, like, do you know what I mean? It's why we do them the way that we do, like, because we can chop and change them. And I would have loved if he wasn't taking this break or whatever, and we could talk about the shows he did over the summer and everything. And I know he would have had this like newfound confidence stuff, and it would have, it probably would have made for a better listen and stuff like that. But I don't think it was a bad interview. Again, I think it was just the nerves got better of him there. Like,
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I miss Mikey. He was really had a lot of potential, and I hope that he does come back. And if you're listening, Mikey, come back.
Yeah.
do come back.
Please.
Do come
Seriously,
back.
like,
Come back.
Please.
please.
We talk about
I
this on the way to
begged
every
and
limit
begged
show.
and begged everybody who knows him to
Hmm.
get him back. Mikey, if you are listening, or someone send him this clip, or don't care. Mikey, please come back. Please. And come back to Crash once. And after that, you could change it, but just once.
Right. So I have a two-parter here. What is the... Actually, I just realized it was already asked. Never mind. Right. Where are the other marks?
When you find them, let
Okay.
us know.
Okay.
I can answer one because this is one I don't know about the boys. I get asked about this all the time, as where is chicken? Chicken was the mark out of the five of us. We knew nothing to do with wrestling, and it's why the name Parish was the Five Marks, because it was like Keen would be for the listeners that knew nothing about wrestling. So like when Keen chimed in with something, it was from their perspective and stuff like that. Again, when you're doing this every week and you have friends and you have family and you have work and everything like that, it's very hard to commit to, like, do you know what I mean? So for Keen, like Keen's priorities were different and everything like this. I can also say that Keen is actually going to be moving fairly soon as well. So he was working towards bit setting himself up for that and everything like this. But I'm going to say this on the air, and I will show him this because I'll screen record on my phone. This episode goes out. He will be at an Irish wrestling show before he moves, because I will buy him the ticket. I will plant his seat, or plant his arse, I should say, on a car seat. I'll bring him to Limerick or Dublin or Cork. He can pick the show, I can pick the date, but he is going to an Irish wrestling show before he flies abroad.
And then
Hell
Kevin,
yeah.
Mr. Chicken. Mr. Chicken was at Will Ospreay's last independent UK show.
He was, but that wasn't on Irish soil. He has to go to a show at the FiveMarks before he goes abroad.
That's fair.
Kevin was kind of the same. He was like a lapsed man like Emmett, and just kind of like
Kevin has become
Didn't catch the bug.
Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
he didn't catch the bug of Irish wrestling. Like he doesn't mind. He doesn't mind going to a Hard Knock show, but like he would never travel up for an OTT show. He'd never do it.
Kevin has become a waterologist. He's all about sea creatures now. Learning the fundamentals of every sea creature that there is.
That's actually where he is
Don't
now.
start him again. I know he's looking at. He just did it.
He's loading it up as it is.
So,
He's
so the next question is: when you have a sea monkey, do they produce sexually or asexually or both?
True.
That's the wrong answer.
Damn it.
Martin's tried, so I think Martin should be going to answer.
Can I ring Kevin and find out? Can
I got a friend.
Right. Most controversial Irish / global wrestling opinion.
Oh,
Either or.
I got it off the bat. I got it off the fucking bat straight away. Becky Lynch is the worst fucking mainstream American pro wrestler at the moment. I swear to God, you want proof of the pudding? Watch the promo with her and Rhea for this past Monday's Raw. If you've ever seen a human being look as constipated, and do you know what else drives me fucking tits up the wall? And don't tell me I'm wrong about this, because you all know it's true.
Yeah.
What accent is that? That's Americanized bullshit. If you talk about my daughter again, there will be and you're just like, what do you do? Like, all right, Schwarzenegger now, like, what's the need for this? Like, you know what I mean? Sure, like in ring, absolutely fantastic and everything is, but it's just like the man running was absolutely class. But then, like, after like the return and everything, it's just stagnant bullshit fucking delivery every single time. And I know I'm not the only one thinking it, because she's getting fucking heckled out of buildings the whole time as a late, like. And it's just that static bullshit, boring fucking shake it up a bit, like, do you know what I mean? And with herself and Seth, they're trying to dress like anime characters the whole time as well. It's like fucking fuck off, like.
Look what you've done. Look what you
He-
created,
he-
Boots.
He does it about Tony. I'm gonna do it about the man, like, do you know what I mean?
That was a very good answer because you covered both global wrestling and Irish wrestling.
Yeah, true, actually. Yeah.
God,
Go on,
Saving
Mark.
myself
I
some trouble.
don't know. Like, obviously, like my go-to would be Tony Khan, but like that, I fucking ran that out of fucking wall. Irish wrestling. Fucking.
I'm trying to like figure someone who's like a really notable big name that's actually terrible, but I can't really like think of anyone.
I don't think Be Cool is ready to be world champion.
Oh.
And we're ding ding.
I said this at the Rumble, as well. I get like he's massively over with the crowd, but unless if let's say Barry wins, I don't see it being a reign anywhere near Sam's or Mary's, vice versa. I
Oh
don't see
yeah, I
it
don't.
being a big a good reign.
You
I wouldn't
see,
see it being long.
here's your controversial opinion then as well. Was Sam's reign good?
Sam's reign was good. The only issue with it was one, we were promised a new era with Irish talent, which didn't happen, and two was constant someone having to pull out of a match or some fucking shit going on that the match doesn't happen. That was like the only thing, like, and as well, I feel like what really fucked up the rivalry was was when there was a story, something else came along that debunked it. In terms of like Charlie Sterling and Sam should have been in a national stadium, should have had that match right there and then rather than Belfast, because I feel like as like the tag match was good, but I feel like the Belfast crowd, to me, weren't they weren't as like what's the fucking word I'm trying to say? I want to say recipient, but I don't know if that's the right word. As much as the Dublin crowd would have been. Dublin, it would have been fucking loud, it would have been fucking great, it would have been a banger of a match. The story was perfect, and it got debunked. So that was Sam's was just bad timing, not getting what fans thought was going to happen, and that's it.
But you know what? It does raise a good point as well, though. It's like the defenses were good, but what dictates a good reign is it good defenses or good
And good
rivalries.
stories, yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I
Caramel,
mean? It's hard. I would think the same. Like,
Caramel.
I'm trying to think. I don't really know. I could go off about how shit CM Punk are and Hulk Hogan are and all that sort of stuff, but you've heard all that
Mm-hmm.
before.
You could just do Irish if you want, like I said, like Tony
Yeah.
Khan, like
I'm even trying to think that.
Step Hermanos or shit.
They're not. They're not. They're absolutely not. I will say this: the hardcore matches in Hard Knocks are too much.
Okay, yeah.
My own personal opinion.
What is too much about them?
It's nice every now and again,
Mhm.
not on every show.
yeah,
Here's one to add to that, and I know Carmo agree with me, and a load of people agree with me. Jordan Oliver should have fought Keenan Noonan, and that's
Absolutely.
Steve Savage. I thought Jordan Oliver was out
Absolutely.
of place in that match. I really did.
I didn't. It suited him.
I don't think
But
so at all. Well,
I think if you're bringing over a person like Jordan Oliver, you're looking at the likes of the Keaton Noonan to throw him in there.
mm.
so. There's my my another 2 cents as well.
I even know what. Again, I'm asking the questions. I'm going to answer my own question. I think the Irish wrestling fan base is too nice.
I agree with
don't-
you.
They do. There's some wrestling that goes out and is not great, not bad, but not great, and all the fans will do.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. Like,
Tell us, and that's like as a performer myself. If I've done shit, tell me I've done shit. I don't want to be told, "Oh, you did a great job," because it actually, especially for me, how I kind of value my performance and stuff is when I'm told somebody doesn't like something and the reasons why, because I can either agree with it or disagree with it. If I agree with it, I can improve. If I disagree with it, then I know I was right, kind of thing.
yeah.
And there's a lot of Irish wrestling fans that will, a person will come out and do a flip and they are on their feet clapping, and it's like you can't go to every show and just just like it because they did a good job and they put effort in. Because I look at what's happening with, I feel like Irish wrestling as a whole right now is very stale, very stagnant. There are some things that are very interesting, but it's starting to crack. Just look at that OTT show in Belfast, just gone. The Drizzlings, it was very, very bad. And we know that. We're trying to improve that. Joe's very good at recognizing when it's time to kind of book up. But I feel like Hard Knocks, we're not recording the
Yeah,
shows anymore.
I agree.
I like this is my fault as well. But that Warzone show, the first four matches were all the exact same, and I was put into, not to peel the curtain back too much, but I was put in a very uh not very difficult situation. I got through it. It's fine. Like I am a professional. I am trying to do this professionally. So I'm not going to complain about having experience hardship in the thing that I love. But I heard countless like praise for that show, and it was not good. It was not a good show. I watched most of that show. Not that it's not the wrestlers, like, directly the wrestlers' fault, but the first four matches were just wrestling matches. I wanted to do something different, but for other circumstances I'm not going to get into, I wasn't able to, and that I should have fought for myself a bit more, but that's besides the point. But the wrestling fans, and like if you genuinely enjoy the show, that I'm not going to stop you from genuinely enjoying the show. But if you dislike something, say it. Don't be a fucking dick about it, but say it, because it's going to lead to more like if you guys are going to a show and you feel like you've seen something, the same thing over and over again, I as a performer would much appreciate silence over just claps. Because even I know there's been matches where I've had where I was like, I'm the biggest fucking star ever, look at that, did you hear that reaction? And I watched the match back and I was like, oh, it's a bit of a shit match, and they're just giving me golf claps. We don't want golf claps. We want genuine, proper emotion and reaction. And if you are just giving it to us without us barely trying, we appreciate the respect, but it doesn't improve us as performers. So that's my controversial
I
opinion.
want to add to that,
Go
but
ahead.
more not in the like we'll say wrestling side of shows.
Mhm.
Irish wrestling fans turn a blind eye to people doing shitty stuff far too much.
Mhm.
That like I love the Irish wrestling community. I love a lot of the people in it, but the amount of times it's like, oh, this, that, the other. It's like you you let them do it. Like you let them do it. Call them out. No, no,
Mm.
no, no. I won't do that. Then they're gonna continue to do it. You know,
Mm.
fucking tell them, cop the fuck on, fuck off. You know.
Are you talking about stuff that's happening on shows or stuff that the
I'm
crowd is doing amongst
no,
themselves?
so I'm talking about like more. Uh, what's the best way to say it? More like behind the scene type shit. Not like at the wrestling shows at all. More like online.
Mm.
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm talking about more like online when it's like someone saying something or like trying to start shit on something. People just like turn a blind eye to it without going to the person. The fuck are you talking about? Like shut up. You know. So that's my 2 cents to it.
And just very briefly as well, social media content in Irish wrestling is so bad. There's some comedy, there's like some really good like stuff that is put out, but my God, can you please stop setting your phone up like this and then going, RCW, I'm going here and I'm going to win and I'm the fucking best and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm the best and I'm cool. I'm very cool.
Are you cool though?
Very.
That's the TikTok clip for this week's episode. Sorry for that.
It's true in fairness though. Like some of the best stuff that's been put out recently is a lot of the stuff with Barry, where he's like in the kind of gym with Joe and different things like that. And that's the stuff that gets you engaged. Joe, that kind of way you're willing to sit through this 4 minute promo because it's hilarious and
Yeah.
you want to see what story comes out of it. Like, whereas
And-
you do get a lot of people just kind of going, "Oh, sure, I'm here at this show next week. Come and see
Yeah.
me." Like I'll give the Stepper Man, I was more so probably Gattachini a lot of credit. Like he
I
started
love
with
the
that
one
Love
today.
Island promo and different bits like
Yeah.
that. It's just different and it's creative.
I loved the one today with the fucking, what are we doing here? Fucking Google Maps took me here. They're at KFC instead of fucking the KRFC. I loved
I
that.
mean,
Loved that.
genius. Like,
But shall we start wrapping down?
let's do it.
Okay.
Like a 3 hour episode.
It's actually just
Hey,
about
it's a
2 hours 5.
Fuck. Sorry.
It's the 100th episode, like.
when you're having me as a guest or as a guest host, we go long. We go Broadway, brother.
It's the only way
So-
to do it for the 100th episode.
So as an ending motif, let's say, can we get each of your kind of 2024/2025 goals for the FiveMarks podcast? Starting with you, Martin.
Better content. Honest to God, I need to fucking step my game up. I feel like I fucking gotten lazy, very much so. So I need to step my fucking game up, put out more content, just advertise more as well. Like the fucking TikTok has fucking failed so much. So if we can get 200 subscribers on the YouTube and fucking get back to 500 listeners a month on fucking Spotify and get a TikTok going, I'd be delighted.
Carmo?
I'd up the YouTube. I'd say 500 on YouTube, which I know is a big ask, but I'd like to see 500. I don't know. I'd like to kind of get to know the Irish fans a little bit more. I'd like to work harder on interviews. A lot of my interviews are kind of like, I don't want to say like not well prepared. They are fairly well prepared. Martin will tell you that himself.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd like to spend a little bit more time preparing for interviews. If I was to make like I suppose a rash goal would be to get possible media privileges for a WWE or an AEW show in Europe.
And Emmett?
I've got three. The first and obvious one is to be involved more, which is possible now because I left my last job. The second one, which is something that I've actually been kind of like suggesting since very, very early on, but I think we're near in a perfect position to be able to do it at some point. Going off of Carmo's point, is doing something in a live capacity with both the listeners of the podcast and just Irish wrestling fans in general. Now, that doesn't mean that it necessarily has to be a live podcast. It might be a bit early for that yet because we are still building the listenership, sorry, I should say, all this time in. But even something like, a stadium show, finding a pub that's nearby. Here, let's take over this place for 2 hours. Let's ask them to put wrestling tunes off the speakers, like some terrible 80s tunes as well of it. Have like, a bit of food and a beer or two before the show. Get everyone in the same place at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And outside of that, I would say the one thing, and this is more on my end, but I would say this to everyone involved, is just our production quality, and not in relation to the editing and stuff, because I think Martin does an absolutely fantastic job of that. But like our audio quality universally, I would actually give the two boys a pass this because their microphones are absolutely fantastic. But everyone, including myself, that's involved in the podcast, would probably do better microphones, better cameras, and stuff like that. Just it would look better for the YouTube and stuff like that as well. But again, these things cost money, so it takes time as well. Like, do you know what I mean? And we're in a beautiful position now that we are still slowly but surely building the audience and everything like that. So hopefully by the time that we reach the numbers and stuff that we are looking to get to, that the production quality will be there on top of it as well. And I do want to just preface the fact that I do think that Martin does an absolutely fantastic job with editing the podcast, everything like that as well. I don't want to come off this now and
He
he
whips me as I work.
Did he mow? Did he mow?
I will say just on that last point, and for all you guys, So this shit does wonders. Light.
Mhm.
I have a very shitty webcam, but if you want like a big fancy camera and you're using the exact same lights that you're using now, it won't look great. But if you're able to get this is like a fucking 15 euro or 12 euro fucking ring light from Deals, I think. It helps. Like I don't have the best lighting right now. It's not the best light, not the best camera, but it adds like an interesting light. And if you had like a key light on you, you wouldn't be disappearing all the way through. Um, oh.
Into the abyss.
Oh no, into the FiveMarks abyss. Whoa.
This is actually where
Um,
Emmett's been the whole time.
Yeah, I just kept getting eaten by the loco.
It does look hungry. Um, but yeah, so that'll be me, my personal thing. So we're gonna wrap up this podcast here. It's been over 2 hours. Hopefully you guys have stuck through the whole thing. So I've actually really enjoyed hearing your guys' story and such. And just to end it off for myself, I really appreciate the platform you guys have given me and the support you have given me. It genuinely has made the last 2 years almost very very cool to know that like no matter what I put out, there's going to be support from you guys, and there's always going to be a story shared, or you're always going to be there to chant boots or whatnot. So I've appreciated your guys' contribution to Irish wrestling, and yeah, I'm rooting for you guys, and I always have been rooting for you guys because you guys took a chance on me when I was just after having like my fifth or sixth match, and I am now rooting for you in return. So,
That was almost like a retirement speech. I appreciate you guys from the work you've done for 2 years, but this is it. I'm Big Boots Murphy, and I'm retiring.
This is like my eulogy for Karma or something. I don't know.
That's fair enough. It's coming at some stage.
Can you take me higher?
To bounce back on that point, like we would never be here without any of you guys coming on to the episodes yourselves. Like there's so many names I'm not even going to name. So I appreciate all of you for doing what you're doing and for giving us the time in your spare times to come on, do an interview or do an episode like this. We really, really appreciate it. Coming all the way down to Limerick on a day after us to do an episode as well.
It's the
Really, really
cold.
appreciate it. We can't thank you enough.
I'll be back anytime. So, with all that said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm going to leave the proper outro to Martin or one of the guys, so you can find all the social medias and stuff. Just thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Irish wrestling. Thank you for coming to the shows, buying the shirts, buying tickets, and keeping this scene alive. It's something that has given my existence purpose. So yeah. With all that said, you can find me on Instagram, Nathan_Murphy00. You can find me on Twitter, Big Boots Murphy, whatever I have it set as. You can follow my YouTube channel, whatever you need to. TikTok, Big Boots Murphy as well. And I'll leave you guys to do your proper 100th outro. Guys, it's the 100th outro.
I'll do the socials and Carmo. I'll throw it to you then. So you can follow us, FiveMarks Pod, on Twitter or X, or whatever you call it. FiveMarks Podcast everywhere else. Thank you, Boots, for hosting the 100th episode. Not only has he got the best spine buster, he's the best guest host. So, Carmo, for the 100th time.
Before we do, Emmett,
Oh, God.
why should everyone subscribe?
Oh, not this again. He went on a massive
this?
rant at Hard Knocks.
To every single FiveMarks platform.
Nudity,
One reason, two reasons at most.
violence.
Hey, you put that shirt down, boy.
Thanks.
Violence.
Okay.
Oh, he's tripping. He's tripping. Yeah, but we need a reason.
I tell you, nudity, violence, and tenderness. That's the ethos of the podcast. Like,
That's your tenderness right there, boy. How you doing?
Carol,
You have
please
been-
end this.
Boots, you have been the best guest host that we could have ever asked for the 100th episode of the FiveMarks. Thank you so much. Lads, we've been the FiveMarks Pro Wrestling Podcast, and for the 100th episode, we are officially, join me in 3, 2, 1, we are ding,
Ding.
ding,
ding, done.